Texans are in a race with CJ Stroud, and there are some other important races in the AFC South. Where do they sit? How could it change? Let's get into it in the locker room.
Yeah, yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker
It's the
room.
most important position in sports. It's the quarterback. It's all about the quarterback. Wise man once told me that Texans feel they have them one. Other teams in the division aren't necessarily down, and there is hope. Let's talk about the races in the AFC South, specifically at the quarterback position. Where the Texans sit. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central, Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. You can see me right here on YouTube in the mornings, as well as over the course of the year on the inside the locker room. Race one. Let's get right into this. Let's just hop right in. Stroud rookie contract window. Now, we assume, and maybe it's a dangerous assumption, maybe it's the right assumption, but we assume that CJ Stroud is going to be a solid quarterback, and he's a quarterback that you're going to have to surround him with really good weapons in order to maximize. Now, a lot of times when you make these assumptions, sometimes it comes tumbling down. Stuff starts evening out. But based on what we've seen in 1 year with CJ Stroud, you feel that you have the quarterback that you're gonna build your team around, for better or worse. Like the ceiling is really optimistic after year one. The floor, it doesn't seem like it can get too bad to where maybe you find yourself in a situation where I think Jacksonville's in, which might not be the best situation. It's not the worst, but it might not be the best. But the race right now for the Texans is put the best team that you can around CJ Stroud while he's on that rookie contract, because once these quarterbacks get paid, it becomes much more difficult. That you have to do cap gymnastics. The quarterback has to elevate his play. You have to evolve and perhaps find other ways to win. It's a never-ending checker/chessboard that the Kansas City Chiefs seem to have a pretty good hand on based on their evolution during the Mahomes era. But it's not easy to do, and we don't see it often. I think there's two examples of really evolving in the modern era, and that's the Chiefs and the Patriots. Some of the dynasties back in the day, it was the same core for a long time. The Chiefs are already having to break theirs up, and a large part is those quarterbacks. So the Stroud rookie contract window right now is a race that the Texans are involved in, and I don't know that they're having success. They've failed twice to get CJ Stroud offensive weapons. Which if you watch this channel, that's my main thing. They need weaponry on offense. They need to give CJ Stroud more weapons. Can't just cross your fingers and hope that Tank Dell and Nico Collins stay healthy. You brought in Mixon for Singletary. That's fine. But you got the same tight end room and you pretty much got the same receiving room. So you've got to bring him some weapons. The ESPN report that they're willing to give up a third next year for Keenan Allen, and then the report are actually straight out of his own mouth that Saquon Barkley thought he was going to be a Texan until money came up. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to figure it out. Maybe you can improve the defense to the point where the importance of the offensive weapons is less, but you got to take advantage of that Stroud rookie contract window. That's race one. Race two is Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence is an interesting case study. And Trevor Lawrence is also a guy who, you look at the rookie season and it wouldn't have been fair to dismiss him. He came into a bad situation, Urban Meyer, all that. But this was out in the aftermath of many people believing he was going to be the can't-miss prospect. As he was getting drafted, there was a montage of John Elway, there was Peyton Manning, there was Andrew Luck. There was a lot of hype. And quite frankly, the best way I can summarize this Trevor Lawrence thing is this. And I think if Jags fans are being honest with themselves, I think they can meet me in the middle and agree on this. I'm not one of these. I'll poke fun at Trevor Lawrence not being the franchise guy, because I think that's fair, because he's not elite right now, and it doesn't seem like he's close to being elite. He kind of seems like he's flirting with that Prescott range more so than the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson range. if that's fair. But this is the best way that I'll summarize Trevor Lawrence. First of all, the toughness is elite. I don't think anyone can question the toughness. If you're looking for an elite trait of Trevor Lawrence, on top of all the measurables, the toughness is elite. But I'll put it this way: if you would have told me 3 years ago to the day, and we would have been less than a month away from the 2021 draft with Trevor Lawrence, if you would have told me 3 months ago to the day, from a Texans point of view, from a Titans point of view, and from a Colts point of view, if you would have told me that this is how we'd be feeling about Trevor Lawrence, I think everyone would have signed up for it. And I don't think the Jags, their fan base probably would have said, damn, that's crazy. I don't believe that. That's not going to be the case. He's going to be him. He's right now, if you took a poll, and again, this is just a 1-year sample size and a lot can change. So I'm not sitting here saying it as a matter of fact. I'm not sitting here dismissing the fact that the NFL is a fluid league. But if you took a poll right now, who's the best quarterback in the division? I think CJ Stroud gets more votes. I think that's fair. Again, hurt last year, elite toughness, but the state of Trevor Lawrence right now is he's going to get paid, and he's going to get paid like an elite guy, but he might not be an elite guy. And that's a hard place to be. Ask the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. And I don't even think he's at Dak Prescott's level right now. I don't even want to insult Dak Prescott. But that's kind of where we are with Trevor Lawrence. You're going to pay him like he's elite. Derek Carr back in the day with the Raiders. You're going to pay him like he's an elite, but if he's not elite, then your team building better be good. Your team building better be really, really good. I think the move that's going to hurt the Jags the most as time goes on is Walker instead of Aiden Hutchinson. I think we're talking about 2 division titles in a row had they had Hutchinson. And the other thing is this, that from a Jags point of view, I know there's a high horse right now at the Texans. They could have easily won that division last year, and they could be talking about we're the kings of the South. That very easily could have happened. But Lawrence and balancing team building plus his deal is race number 2 on top of the Stroud rookie contract. But again, I'll just reemphasize, if you would have told the rest of the division that 3 years ago, this is how you'd feel about Trevor Lawrence, they would all sign up for it, 100%. And I think Jags fans can be honest with themselves and admit that as well. Race 3 is figuring out about Richardson and Levis. So you know that CJ and Trevor are good. And I'm not calling CJ elite. He played elite in 1 year. But they're both good. And the other way that I'll emphasize the Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud thing is Texans fans right now, if you told them that 2 years from now, they're going to feel about CJ Stroud like Jags fans do about Trevor Lawrence, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. With all this hype, now, if you would have told them before last year's draft, perhaps they would have signed up for it. But if you tell them now, with what you've seen from CJ Stroud, you're going to feel exactly about him as logical people do about Trevor Lawrence. Not great. But you have 2 pretty good quarterbacks. One is potentially elite. The other one, we'll see what happens with Trevor Lawrence. Race 3 is figuring out about Richardson and Levis. Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy in college. That did not get near enough attention. I think people were too focused on talking about Bryce Young's size and his durability and all that. And they weren't really looking at the guy who actually had problems staying on the field in multiple areas at Florida in Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson, we don't have to go through the injuries again. Concussion, hurt himself dancing, missed a game, knee surgery, all that. And we saw the shoulder this year. So he's basically had like 6 different injuries in a 3-year stretch. I actually think in the short term, assuming that he's healthy, I think the Colts benefit this year by him not playing as much last year because it's still a little bit of a mystery. The other advantage I think the Colts have is we know that Shane Steichen's awesome as an offensive coordinator. I think you can see what Philadelphia looks like without him, and you can see what he did last year with Minshew. Richardson has the right situation to perform, but we got to figure out about him. Is he elite? Can he stay healthy? Where does he fit in? The Colts don't feel as good about him as Texans fans do about Stroud and as Jags fans do about Lawrence. So what exactly is Anthony Richardson? It'll be interesting to see. Will Levis, I don't see it. I don't know that they see it. I thought we were heading towards a rebuild, And in fairness, we don't know what Callahan is as a coach. Callahan could end up being some sort of offensive mastermind that, puts Levis in a good position to succeed, but we don't know much about him. This is kind of an uphill battle here with Levis. Like, what are we doing here? What are the expectations? Like, is it going to be a situation where if he looks serviceable, then you keep going with him? Are they going to proactively try to upgrade? Like, you've seen times where teams have probably wasted a little more time on guys than they probably should, and they kind of lower the bar of expectation for a quarterback. So we'll see what Will Levis looks like, but figuring out about Richardson and Levis is going to be something that these two teams are going to worry about. Now, from the Colts' perspective, they're kind of keeping the powder dry, and they're going to try to build a team, not conservatively, but the way that they always have. And quite frankly, without that drop pass, they're in the playoffs and the Texans aren't. So they have to be feeling decent. But again, it was with a different quarterback. The Titans are just throwing money around like crazy. They're functioning like a team that has a quarterback that they feel good about. Now, I don't think that that's the reason why they're doing it. I just feel like they don't really have an identity. But those are the three races. What the hell are the Texans going to do? They just restructured Titus Howard's contract. Are they going to give Nico Collins an extension? Could they be in the trade market? Who knows? But again, they've got to get CJ Stroud some weapons, and they've got to execute the race that they're in, which is Stroud rookie contract window, build the best team possible, increase the surroundings, and don't just rely on CJ Stroud. That line in the sand that they had with Saquon Barkley and Keenan Allen, was that line there because it's a line that you have throughout the roster, or was it CJ Stroud's good enough, he can save all butts, we'll figure it out? It's a question. Raise two, Lawrence and balancing his deal. Again, Trevor Lawrence, feel okay about him, but 3 years ago, this was not what Jags fans thought they were getting. Quite frankly, this wasn't what most football fans thought they were getting. It's not closed. He's still young. He's tough, all that, but there's still a lot of questions, especially when you talk about the contract that he's going to demand, probably regardless of what he does. And then race three, figuring out Richardson and Levis. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. The AFC South is wild. It's absolutely insane. These races are fun. Texans fans, I'm sure you feel pretty good about it, but damn, get the man some weapons. Happy Easter to everyone. Thanks for coming through. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to be draft month sooner rather than later. Let's see. By the way, big announcement. John McClain joining me on Tuesday. John Harris joining me 2 weeks later to preview the draft, so keep it locked.
Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not two. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube.